What's up, people? I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part 4 of my reviewing and ranking the Jerry Garcia archival concert release series, Garcia Live, one of several archival concert release series that Jerry has. I'm on volume 4. I'm going to talk about this one and then show where I think it ranks among the other 3 I've already talked about. And what we have here is we have a complete show from March 27th, 1978. The band, you as always have John Kahn on bass, absolutely fantastic. Mixed pretty high. He's kind of high in the mix. Sometimes it's a little awkward and maybe doesn't sound right, but for the most part, it's awesome to hear as much Kahn as possible. Buzz Buchanan on drums. You got Donna and Maria Mulder on backing vocals, Donna Godshaw, and Keith is on keyboards. Mostly piano. I think almost like piano is by far the dominant instrument he's using. And it's interesting with Keith because I think a lot of times the actual songs themselves either don't quite sound as full because Keith is just on piano and not providing more of a blanket like other keyboardists generally do with Jerry, or he's absolutely perfect and the song doesn't need that wider blanket, and his little injections and little little eyebrows that he's adding all over that place are perfect. I think Keith's contributions as like that extra person who's coming in to add the flavor are generally more interesting than his solos. I think some of his solos just, I don't know if it's the mix or it's just not feeling it. He has moments where he kills it, but then he has moments where it's just like, we're kind of treading water here. Ozzy Ahlers, does play keyboards on the last 4 songs of the entire show. And those, I would say, do happen to be the best 4 songs of the entire show. So don't know if that's because of Ozzy, but this is definitely a show that I think the first set is pretty chill, pretty laid back. A couple of the songs I think it takes until we get to the solo section before things really start to catch fire and like things start to gel as a song. But then the second set also kind of starts off pretty chill, but the solos bring it. And by midway through the second set, I think the second half of that set is probably easily the strongest part of this show. 2 discs. The entirety of the first set is on disc 1. It's a 5-song first set. But it does clock in at like just under an hour, so it's close to an hour. Opens up with How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. Jerry's in the pocket. It's pretty sweet, pretty laid back. Nothing absolutely crazy, but a nice, solid, laid back, chill opener. We get a Catfish John, which is pretty chill, just kind of solid, not really anything too spectacular. It's just a pretty solid Catfish John. Some nice Keith work here. This is one of those where Keith on piano sounds really good. And I think Donna has some moments on here where she sounds pretty good. I want to say particularly Love in the Afternoon, not Love in the Afternoon. Gomorrah. Yeah, her voice on Gomorrah sounds absolutely fantastic, but that's coming later in the second set. We get A Simple Twist of Fate as the third song. Again, some more nice Keith work on here. Pretty solid Simple Twist of Fate. We get an I Second That Emotion. This is one of those that seems to take a while before it seems to catch fire. And it almost seems like it's a little off for like the first set of vocals. Like they're just, I don't know, it's just not clicking, or something sounds weird. But once we get to that middle jam, it's pretty good. And there's some really nice sort of like Keith Jerry interplay going on that kind of elevates the jam and kind of helps elevate the song. And then the last song on the set, and I guess the last song on the disc, and I guess the last song in the set is The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. One of those really kind of slow. They even bring it like slower down, and like the verses start off really slow, and then the chorus kind of builds it up, and then after the chorus they just kind of like really just kind of bring it really down low and almost like stop it for a while before they get back into the verse and build it back up. Interesting song to end the set. It does have that kind of like, the night, big moments, but I don't know. It seemed like drop a deal here next, and you kind of maybe bring a little more to this first set. But it's an interesting first set. And I think everything on there we've already had in the 4 releases we've already had, I think every one of these songs has appeared at least once. So starting to get a lot of repeats already in this series. But the second disc, we got a couple songs we haven't heard yet, and we got some pretty good versions of songs we have heard. Opens up with The Harder They Come, kind of chill, kind of takes a while for the energy to really click. Jerry's second solo in the middle is probably the highlight of this. Love this song, love this cover. But this one is taking a little while. I don't think it's as effective as some of the one we got a couple shows ago, or the one from the first show, I believe it was. Maybe it's the second show. I don't know. I think we've got a couple of these so far that I think are better than this one. We get a Mission in the Rain, always a great song choice. Some really nice Keith work on Mission in the Rain. Then we get Cats Under the Stars. The album had just come out or was about to come out because the album came out in 78. It's a pretty, I don't want to say timid, but it definitely doesn't have quite the funk, Jerry version of funk swag that the song would have, by the late 80s, 90s when I was seeing the Jerry a lot. Still a good Cats, great song, fun to hear. The solo section in the middle was one of my favorite. But it's definitely a little more tepid, a little more like not quite fully committed to the awesomeness of the song. Gomorrah follows. Pretty simple, straightforward Gomorrah. Sounds great. Donna sounds great. Just a really good performance. Jerry's got a really kind of terse, purposeful solo in the middle. And then the last 4 songs just kind of kill it. Mystery Train, I think the highlight of the show. Spectacular Mystery Train. It's just, from the get-go, it just sounds like the band's in it. It's definitely got that train locomotive vibe going for it. The singing sounds great. The piano sounds great. Jerry's solo sounds great. Yeah, the Mystery Train, easily the highlight so far. But the energy that Mystery's bringing carries through the rest of the show. We got a Love in the Afternoon, not one of my favorite studio songs, but I think the live version just works better, just feels looser, it's jammier, it just, I just works better. It's absolutely fantastic. And there's a the jam in this is particularly good, and there's a part, a lot of these jams is like Jerry will come out and solo, then Keith will do a little solo, then maybe they give Con a time to like highlight, and this one, by the end of like the solo section, there's a moment where like Jerry's kind of not really soloing as much as he's just dropping ideas on the guitar, and Keith is contributing and Con is there, and there's this really nice almost spiraling around each other part, and then Jerry eventually just like takes off out of that and like wraps up the solo section with more of like a solo. Really nice Love in the Afternoon, and we have not had one of those so far in this series. Another one we haven't had so far, a cover of a traditional gospel song, I guess, I'll Be With Thee. Pretty short, straightforward, like 5-minute song, shortest song on here. But it's good. Donna sounds great. Donna's doing the singing in this mostly. I think she's the lead vocalist on this. But it's good, yeah. It's a nice little, fits that Jerry gospel song pocket really well that he usually drops, in a set. And then we close out with the Midnight Moonlight. Awesome song choice, always up for that. Definitely not the most like fire Midnight Moonlight, but Jerry just sounds sweet. It's a good song. It's got good energy. San Antone gets mentioned, which we like. Down at Alamo Mission. But yeah, a really solid ending to the show. So it's a good release. When I first heard the first set, I was just like the first release, I think it's like just pure Jerry fire. The second release had some moments where there's a couple highlights, but the show was just kind of just solid Jerry and not great Jerry. Then volume 3 was fantastic. And then this one started off where the first set was like, wow, what really was the impetus to release this one? But then the second set kind of saves the show, the song choices, the second half, the performances. And so it was a pretty good listen. I enjoyed it. If you're not a Garcia fan, I wouldn't start with this. I'd start with volume 1, because where would I rank this among the other ones? Right there. Volume 4 is number 3. So that's how I would rank it. 1 is still 1, and then 3 is 2, and 2 is 4. There we go. You can read. You have. Well, if you don't, if you're just listening to my voice, hope you can make sense of what I just said. But yeah, that's where I would rank this. Pretty solid release with some highlights on the second disc. But yeah, that's all I got. those are my thoughts on Jerry Garcia, Garcia Live Volume 4. Let me know if you listen to this, what you think of it, if you check it out, blah, blah, blah. Subscribe, like, share, comment, do all those things, and go listen to the second disc of this first. And then go back and just enjoy the first disc for its casual, pure Jerry awesomeness. Does that make sense? I don't know. That's all I got. Peace. Talk to you later.